A few years ago, the bishops of the United States published a catechism for adults, which emphasized that faith is taught through real-life people. For example, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton is featured in the chapter called The Human Quest for God. Dorothy Day, the founder of the Catholic Worker Movement, is the example of the chapter called The Culture of Life. St. Augustine is the example on the chapter on reconciliation and penance. In all 34 chapters, there is a person who is attached to a particular subject that tells us that faith is embodied in real people. And this catechism is simply a constant reminder to us of God's call and our response. Our readings today are centered on that same interplay between God's call and our response. Today we have two people, Isaiah and Peter, who, although both were called by God at different times, shared one thing in common: how could God choose me? They both felt totally unworthy, but the issue for both of them was not their worthiness. Like all of us, the Lord works through our unworthiness and weaknesses and graces us with the gifts we need to truly live our calling. So the real issue was the fact that God expected the two of them to go out into the world and to catch others. Isaiah was called to be a voice for the Lord. Peter was called to catch people for Jesus. The call of Isaiah and Peter was not a private call. It was a call to live and express their faith by sharing it with others. It's important for us to realize that Jesus called Peter where Peter was familiar. He called him from being a fisherman of fish to a fisherman of people. Now, Jesus definitely calls people to change their lives and follow Him in a way that is radically different from the life they lived before. St. Paul the Apostle and Augustine are examples of this. But for the most part, the Lord will call us and ask us to respond in the areas of life where we find ourselves each day. That is why our daily routine at work, at home, at school, become ways in which God uses us. We share in the mission of Jesus by being attentive to and acting like Him wherever we find ourselves in daily life. That is the challenge, but it's a challenge that makes a difference. And when you and I feel unworthy, let the words of God that He spoke to Isaiah encourage us and help us to move beyond ourselves. Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Here I am. Send me.